Zinedine Zidane walked onto the pitch for the 2006 World Cup final, a footballing hero, a global icon and sporting legend, one win away from a storybook ending to his illustrious career. Marco Materazzi stepped onto that same field in Berlin with a fraction of Zidane's career resume, known more for his controversies back home in Italy than his footballing abilities. As fate would have it though, the decorated Frenchman and the erratic Italian were about to be forever intertwined, as the two ultimately took center stage in one of the most infamous World Cup moments and matches in tournament history. Zidane and Materazzi took very different paths to the 2006 World Cup final at the Olympia Stadion. Zidane had earned himself a reputation as one of the greatest midfielders and footballers of all time over the course of a wildly successful career spent mostly at Real Madrid, Juventus, and Bordeaux. One of the most creative and poised players of his generation, Zidane scored 125 goals over an 18-year club career that saw him win 3 league titles between Italy and Spain, as well as the 2002 Champions League with Real Madrid.
Hooked into the penalty area towards Zidane!
His 2001 move from Juventus to Madrid was, at the time, the most expensive transfer ever. His international career may have been even more impressive, as Zidane led France to a championship double at the 1998 World Cup and Euro 2000. As the 2006 World Cup approached though, Zidane was nearing the end of his storied career, having played his final professional match for Madrid months earlier. Though well past his prime, and 2 years removed from originally retiring from international play, Zizou sparkled in Germany, leading an older and seemingly overmatched French squad past Spain, Brazil, and Portugal in the knockout rounds. Then came the final against Italy, whom Zidane and France had eliminated in heartbreaking fashion during both of their tournament-winning runs in '98 and 2000.
Very short run-up by Di Biagio. He's hit the bar! Cruel, this penalty shootout can be.
Trezeguet is waiting in the centre. Trezeguet! France have won the European Championship to add to the World Cup.
One of Italy's starting center backs for the 2006 final was Materazzi, which in and of itself would have seemed preposterous just weeks earlier. The enigmatic defender was known mostly for being one of the bad boys of Serie A. Sure, 5 years earlier he had set a record for goals scored by a defender in a single season, and he had since become a fixture at Inter Milan, who had just won the Italian championship. But Materazzi was still more famous for his questionable conduct than his play. During a spell with Everton in the late 90s, he was sent off 3 times in 27 matches. While with Inter in 2002, he got into a heated and somewhat physical confrontation with rivals from Lazio, including Italian national team mainstay Alessandro Nesta. He confronted and punched another opponent in the locker room following a match in 2004, which resulted in an 11-game suspension between his club and national teams. Materazzi's polarizing behavior continued for Italy, never more so than during the 2006 World Cup. Ironically enough, he only factored into Italy's plans when Nesta was injured in the final group stage against Czech Republic. Materazzi came off the bench to score his first career international goal, and was even named man of the match in the victory, which clinched Italy's place atop Group E. Just days later, however, in the team's first knockout round match against Australia, Materazzi got himself red carded, forcing Italy to play a man down for the final 70 minutes of that game, and leaving the Azzurri without Nesta's replacement for their quarterfinal match against Ukraine. Still, who better than Materazzi to get under Zidane's skin and unearth the legend's darker side? After all, it takes one to know one. Though a softer side of Zidane emerged in his later years, he was at one time one of the most volatile stars in the game, quick to lose his temper and commit violent acts on the field, including headbutting. Nobody knows if Zidane is an angel or demon. French singer Jean-Louis Murat told The Guardian in 2004, "He smiles like Saint Teresa and grimaces like a serial killer." Much of that had been linked to all Zidane was forced to endure growing up in a tough area of Marseille as a Muslim son of Algerian immigrants in a country that wasn't always accepting of those roots. Zidane faced racism and xenophobia from opponents, fans, and too often his own country. Like Materazzi, Zidane had already been suspended earlier in the 2006 tournament, not for a red card, but because he had accumulated 2 yellows in France's first 2 matches. In any event, both players were in their team's respective starting lineups for the final, and Materazzi was prepared to push Zidane past his limits. Both players factored prominently in the match long before clashing in unforgettable fashion. Zidane opened the scoring by cheekily converting a penalty kick that France was awarded because of a Materazzi foul. Materazzi himself equalized with his head 12 minutes later.
Fired in deep from Pirlo for Materazzi! A moment of near instant redemption.
The towering defender only scored twice in 41 appearances for Italy, but both tallies came within a 4-match span during the nation's 2006 triumph. Zidane was the best attacking player on the pitch as France began to push the action in the second half, but after a Luca Toni goal for Italy was called back for offside, the teams arrived at the 90-minute mark still level. For a brief second, it appeared one of the game's greatest players might end his career with a World Cup winning goal, but Italian goalkeeping legend Gianluigi Buffon stonewalled Zidane in close. Moments later, with 10 minutes remaining before extra time gave way to penalties, Materazzi ensured Zidane's last moment on the field would be less rewarding and far more unbecoming of an all-time great. No one, including referee Horacio Elizondo, was quite sure what had happened while Materazzi laid hurt on the grass just seconds after being seen tugging Zidane's jersey. But just as the fourth official confirmed to Elizondo via headset, television cameras laid it bare for the 715 million viewers around the globe.
Well, you can see here, it's in conversation with Zidane. Pair of them walking away after Grosso's cleared the ball. Oh my word, that is extraordinary.
Just like that, Zidane's match, tournament, and career came to an end on a straight red card. Worse for France, the team's captain, best player, and penalty kick specialist would not be available for the PK competition that was about to decide the world's most prestigious championship. Adding insult to injury for Zidane, who was later named player of the tournament, he had to helplessly watch as Materazzi converted one of Italy's 5 penalties en route to victory. In the hours and days that followed, Zidane's headbutt heard and felt around the world dominated not just sports pages or European media, but all forms of media in every corner of the earth. Everyone wanted to know what happened. How could a retiring superstar with so much of his team and country's weight on his shoulders stoop to such damaging and devastating lows? Materazzi denied reports from multiple British papers that he had referred to Zidane's mother as a terrorist whore, winning libel suits against the Daily Star, the Daily Mail, and the Sun. According to the Italian himself, after tugging at Zidane's jersey, the Frenchman quipped something along the lines of, "If you want my shirt so bad, I'll give it to you after the game." To which Materazzi replied, "I'd prefer your whore of a sister." Materazzi knows his words were harsh, but as the Italian has also added over the years, if you go to a football pitch in the suburbs of Rome, Naples, Turin, Milan, or Paris, you'll realize that what I said was quite soft compared to what you hear there. Zidane, for his part, is less eager to discuss the most shameful moment of his career. And though he admits his fault in losing his cool at a time he and his country could least afford him to, he's never softened his stance on Materazzi. For what it's worth, Materazzi claims the pair shook hands upon running into each other at a Milan hotel in 2010. Though reports at the time suggested Zidane was telling people he only did so because he mistook Materazzi for a fan. Given the history between them, that kind of confusion seems unlikely. Though he remains one of the most beloved footballers ever, and even carved out a successful managerial career years later, there's no doubt the headbutting incident forever stained Zidane's legacy. Every time you mention his multiple Ballon d'Ors, championships, and various individual honors, you must also mention one of the most infamous moments in sports history. To casuals and non-soccer fans, Zidane's name is synonymous with that headbutt more than it is any spectacular moment he ever created with his feet.
Ugh, that's gotta hurt worse than getting a birthday telegram from Zinedine Zidane.
Yes?
Bon anniversaire.
Though the incident didn't exactly boost Materazzi's reputation, it did elevate him to another stratosphere of fame. Even as a World Cup winner, it's unlikely the Italian defender ever would have been the subject of a Sports Illustrated profile without being Zidane's on-field victim. Of course, the newfound fame had its downsides too, such as the numerous death threats he received from France and Zidane fans everywhere. Though Zidane will always be the more respected athlete, Materazzi will always have the last laugh in this matter, which is perhaps why he's always seemed more willing to bury the hatchet. As he told Sports Illustrated in that 2007 profile about what would happen if Zidane walked into the room, "I would hold out my hand. In life, you should never have enemies. He was my enemy in one sports struggle, but that's it. Let's meet and take pictures. He can even bring me his jersey. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video and want to see more content like this, be sure to hit that subscribe button.